Hey, fellow warriors. Welcome to the Ezer Mindset podcast with your host, Altimese Nichole. She's an award-winning founder to the Ezer Agency, a philanthropist, mother, daughter, and friend. Here with the Ezer Mindset podcast, we cultivate a safe space and community to be inspired by women worldwide that strive to be the best version of themselves boldly, softly, and unapologetically. And Ezer is a warrior created to help. So let's begin to help one another in family, fun, faith, life, and love.
Hello, and thank you for joining yet another episode of the Ezer Mindset podcast. I am your host, Altimese Nichole, and I am so excited to have this conversation with my girl, Candice Nicole. Oh my gosh, y'all. She is absolutely phenomenal. Candice Nicole is an award-winning publicist who graduated from Morgan State University. She's a full-time entrepreneur, the owner of Candice Nicole PR, Public Relations, for those of you all who do not know, the creator of Women Who Hustle Network, Respect the Publicist, and a slew of other things in the works. She is also, she's been in PR for over 10 years, and she has worked with top talent in music and entertainment, including Spike Lee, Music Soulchild, and many, many others. So Candice, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. I love you all.
I love you too. I love you too.
You do not know.
So, oh my gosh, we met, 2019, 2020?
2020.
2020. When we met in 2020.
At that event, and we just connected.
Clicked.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Instantly. And then we met up for like a work session.
Mm-hmm.
Where did we go? Was it Charlotte?
No, I think it was somewhere in South Carolina.
I think it was Columbia?
It might have been. It might have been. Was it? It might have been
Columbia.
Yeah, it might have been Columbia.
And like one of the things that I absolutely loved about you immediately was your authenticity. Like you were very honest, very real, and you were just like, okay, Altimese, you know what? It's time for my business to scale, and I can't do this by myself. So, girl, let's do this together. And we did. We absolutely did. But one of the things that I also noticed about you is your resilience. Like, you've been through some things, and it actually like is an amazing story of how you started the company, why you started the company, and like what got you to the place of scaling. So talk to me a little bit just about your background and like how you started CNPR anyway.
Yeah. So how can I make this like a short story?
Girl, go ahead.
But it's a fun story too, I would say. So our anniversary is June 20th. It was 2007 that CNPR was born. Candice is my first name. Nicole is my middle. And I always just thought it was dope. And so when I needed to, create a name, I said, it's going to be Candice Nicole PR, period. And just went with it. It started in Love Nightclub. I know I'm probably like dating myself.
Oh my God. I used to love Nightclub. We used to come from Richmond, from VCU to go to Love because it was absolute like we didn't have no clubs like that in Richmond, so we would drive to Love. I didn't know you worked there.
So I was a promoter there, and let's see, because I finished with my school, like with my work, December 2006 at Morgan. At the time, they did not have winter graduations, and maybe like 2 years after I, finished, they started to add that. So I didn't actually like graduate until May 2007. So I was like, okay, well, as I'm waiting to graduate, I'll become a promoter. And so got to know club owners, managers, other promoters. And then I just said, okay, I'm going to start the business. My girlfriend in high school was a singer. And so I'm like, okay, you're the singer, I'm the publicist. And it started that night, June 20th in DC. And so my background is in entertainment and music. I want to say now I spent maybe like 8 or 9 years in that space, like only. And then when I decided that I wanted to go full time with CNPR, so probably like 8 years, because it'll be like 8 years of doing CNPR full time, but 16 years of having the company in June, actually this month, for me. And I said, you know what? I have other interests. I didn't want anyone to just pigeonhole me, just go to Candice for music. And I'm like, no, there's other things. Like I started to get into just like my health and like losing weight. So I'm interested in that. I love everything beauty. I love fashion. I'm into tech. We use our phones all the time. So it was just a lot of different industries that I wanted to get in. And so I just started to branch out with, the clients. And I always feel like in PR, all of our skills are transferable. You just got to research, honestly. And when people,
absolutely.
What are your contacts in the fashion industry? Yeah, we know people there, but that doesn't have anything to do with how we'll be able to work with that client. Because as Altimese, it is definitely a revolving door right now when it comes to media. So just because we knew Jen over there, the beauty editor, she's probably has been at like 2 or 3 other places by now, especially when the pandemic hit. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's about research and know that we can find a contact over here. We can find them over here as well. So
and most of the publications, they no longer hire full-time anyway. They hire freelancers, like writing contributors. And often writing contributors, they write for multiple publications, not just one. And then they hop all over. So like 1 month, they was one publication. And then 2 months later, they're gone and they write for someone else. So it's like, it really is, it's an interesting industry for sure.
It is.
Sure.
It is.
Did you always know you would be in PR?
No. When growing up, I used to want to be an astrologist. Actually, I was fascinated by the solar system. Low-key a nerd, I guess, I had a,
There's nothing wrong with that.
And I love it. Yeah, I had a telescope and everything. I did. And then I fell in love with photography in high school. And I said, this is it. I can tap into my creative side. I can actually develop film. And you guys, this is why I graduated high school in 2002. So this is, I want to say maybe like 99, 2001, when I was, in the photography classes, and we were still, you had to like develop your film. Like you were loading film in there. It wasn't like just chitter chat about digital. And so I was like, okay, I want to become a celebrity photographer, and my niche was going to be black and white. I absolutely love black and white. And I didn't want to hear it. When people started talking about digital, cameras, I'm like, I don't want that. I love being able to just upload my film, and it's very therapeutic of being in the dark room, which
the dark room is amazing, girl. So Candice, I did the same thing.
Really?
In high school, and I wanted to do photography.
I love it.
And I fell in love with it. And then when everything went digital, I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, what?
Yeah.
I actually was kind of hurt by it. And I gave my camera to my cousin. It was like a 35 millimeter camera. Yeah. And it was like, I think I paid like $300 for the camera. And you remember the light that you had to buy for it? Oh. And that was like an additional like $200. And I was just like, but I loved the process. Like that dark room. You're right. Like it was so therapeutic in there. Like,
and you guys, like, if you've never actually like developed film, it's, okay, you take your pictures and everything of the sort. You have to make sure, you wind it, then you pop it open because you want to make sure nothing is, make sure it's wound up. And then you have like this small bucket and you put your canister in there, and then you start putting, you put it like within the black bag itself. And then you actually are trusting yourself. You have to learn how to touch, everything. It's an amazing process because you're not touching the negatives as you then have to roll it on this like roller. I'm trying to explain. And then you have to like move it. Altimese sees what I'm doing now. You have to roll it and you're in this bag, y'all. You're not looking at it because if you expose it, all of your stuff is
yes. Look,
so
if you expose it to light too early,
yes. So
you lose everything.
Put the top back on, you know, and then you take it back out. Then you take it to the sink, and then this is when you start with your solutions, with your fixer, and everything of the sort to start that development like process. It's just a whole thing, you guys. And
but you know what? Talking about it right now, I could see how like that process applies to what we do now.
It takes time, like you said. You can't expose it to the light too soon. Yeah. I know you want to see this image, but you need to let it chill a little bit.
I know you want to be in essence, but it's too soon. And I know you want to be in entrepreneur.com. It's too soon. Don't do it. It's too soon.
You have very specific steps. And if you skip over one of them, it's going to put you back. Yes. And perhaps it's going to dismiss everything that you worked on because you were so much focusing on trying to be in a rush to get to your, say, like North Star. And so going into Morgan, I was a photographic media major. I had, declared that. However, as you know, with all these prerequisites in college, I was like, look, I love the arts, but I'm not the best drawer. And I need to change my major. And so went back to the catalog, and that's how I got into PR communications, because I saw that you can apply that to different industries. Yes. Because at the time I was like, no, I just don't want to do radio. And now I know, looking back, I could have done whatever I wanted to do. But at the time, what it looked like there, if you're doing radio production, you're doing radio production. If you're doing journalism,
it didn't cross over.
Exactly. And I said, well, PR, I can do in like all these different industries. And lo and behold, it became my passion of storytelling, which I've always loved to read, always loved books. I was the kid that my mom would take me to the bookstore and I would sit on the floor reading books. I love when it was scholastic time in elementary school. Yeah. Run all the books up. Like, I need this one, I need that one.
Yes. Okay. So you said something really interesting when we were talking about, it being too soon and you have to go through that process. What experience do you have that, looking back, you realize that was your developmental process, and had you not gone through it, it probably would have been too soon?
Yeah. Definitely my breakup. And this was like a big breakup for me. It happened February 2019. Now, yes, I started the business in 2007, but I worked at BET, Fox 5, during that time. And then, I was full time with CNPR as, when this breakup occurred. However, as it was almost like 3.5 years with this person, it had gone into where I discussed everything with this person. And looking back at it, I don't think I would have had a certain breakthrough with truly understanding my personal capabilities if that breakup did not occur. Right. I feel like they were definitely wanting to dim my own light. There was an age difference. There was a lot of different things there of where I was good. I'd been doing this. I had my network, you know what I mean? So I'm like, shine on with what he wanted to do. It matched. We just, we gelled. It made sense when it made sense, and when it didn't, it didn't. And so I go back to that. I know the question was, something happening too soon, but that is something that was very big that happened in my life, of where it set the tone. It set the tone. And also it reminded me of that not everyone that you feel at the time, right, that's on like this journey with you is meant to see the other side of their journey with you, if that makes sense. Because I think in that, when I ran my numbers, that first quarter of 2019, I think I made like $10,000. What? How was I surviving? Like, what was going on? And I'm like, am I tripping? Like, are these the numbers? No, it was the numbers. And that year, I made all the bulk of the money, and I ended up making $94,000 Altimese in 2019, which was amazing for me, because I made that the last 7 months of the year. Let's just say, like the last like 7 months, like it came.
And was this all during your process of healing?
Yes, it was. And like maybe 3 months after like the breakup, it was May 9th. It was May 9th, 2019. I remember the day. I got awarded my first 5-figure contract, the huge brand that I negotiated. Right. And I said, girl, you were always going to be successful. Inevitable. Like I was having in me, right? However, I said, this man was not supposed to see this money. He wasn't. It was always there waiting for you. But he was not meant to see it because it would have became our money. It still just would have been, it was different. It was just a different experience of, you know, being awarded that contract myself that I negotiated. And just everything just kept on going. And I was able to tap in, you know, into myself. I would say of things about happening too soon, man, I feel like, I don't know, stuff happens on the daily where I'm like, oh, I now get it, right? Why certain contracts that are people like are referring us to. I'm like, man, you would have loved to have been doing this 5 years ago, but where were you 5 years ago?
Right.
You didn't have a team. You
weren't
wouldn't be able to put in for this RFP. You wouldn't be able to say that you can meet the deliverables, the expectations of this because you were still doing it solo dolo. Right. So I feel like, and even that's on the business side, I believe even on the personal side of it, like when it comes to just, you know, love, I would have loved to have been, you know, married by now, 39. And I'm like, where is my husband? However, I have to be honest with myself of, you know what, you're a totally different woman. Like my early 30s, I'm just being honest with you. Looking back at that, girl, I don't think it wouldn't have worked. Like with my ex-fiance when I was in college, no, I know for a fact I like would have been divorced in my 20s, probably with like 3 children. Like we talked about how many kids that we wanted, and it's nothing against anyone if they found themselves in that situation. I just know of who I am now, and just that situation. I just know that's what would happen. And I know deep in my heart, my desire, my prayer is that when I do get married, that's my person. Like that's what it is. And you know, my mom and my dad, they divorced. So I understand it happens. And sometimes it happens. It's totally fine. But I do know that there are certain things now when I come in contact with certain people, I'm like, oh, that's why.
That's why.
Because also I was
it.
Sure, I want to do what I wanted to do. That was it.
Right.
Admitted that to one of my girlfriends. I'm like, you know what? Nah, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to travel when I wanted to travel, turn up with my girlfriends, not answer to anyone. So I just had to be honest.
But you know, again, I was just about to say, let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
In that season, in that moment, you were probably like, I want this to work.
Yes.
Yes. Like, I want this to work. And it hurts that it's not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, take us there for a second. Mm-hmm. Like, how did you like that process of healing that we talked about. How did you heal through it while building your company at the same time?
Yeah, that was wild. Because it was only a few people that really knew
Yeah.
like the nitty gritty of what that person put me through, just mentally. And when I tell you, it was a cluster of just so much of just trying to extort me for money. Like it's so much stuff. Like family got involved, but all along I'm doing this full time, right? And we legit had clients that I remember I was like, I feel like for maybe like 3 months, I really didn't have like an address because I was traveling. I was going back home to like Maryland, DC, so I could be loved on by my family and my girlfriends. But then I'll have to jet out to Chicago because clients have a huge interview here. And then next week I'm going to New York because they have a huge interview there. No one like knew what was like going on during that time. And then when I would come back to Charlotte, I was either staying at like my uncle's at his property. He had a apartment on his, on his property. I would be there or be at my auntie's house, where she has like 2 levels. And so I had like the upstairs, and it was crazy because her and my uncle, they moved here December 2018. And then I was in their home like, February, March, April timeframe, like healing. And I'm like, man, God knew. God knew that he needed y'all to be here in Charlotte for me. And so
Yes.
like, even like going back to her house, someone may say like, oh, is it sad? No, it brings me so much joy as like those gates open and I drive back to her home because they gave me so much space to heal. They allowed me to
Yeah.
cry. They made sure I was fed. But also just left me be, and we're
Mm-hmm.
here if you need us, you need to talk. And I just had to dig deep during that time. Um, I had to get back to myself. There were actually things that I didn't realize of where that person had created like a complex for me, just around just myself of, you know, um, yeah, well, you'll put on all your makeup and everything when you're out, but then I come home and I'm like, I mean, it's you should look at it as like it's an honor, as a privilege to see me naked face. And I'm out there with my makeup, like that's my brand that I'm working. I'm networking, right? But let's be clear, when we go out, I always look nice. Like, what do you want me to look like Barbie doll until you come home from a gig like at 2, 3 in the morning every night? That's not gonna happen, right? And I think during that time, I think I started like a hashtag naked face challenge, like on my IG
Mm.
of where
Mm.
I was showing up and I was naked face. And I pushed myself every day to do that. That was part of my healing process, Altimese. Was because I was like, no, I'm good showing up here with this naked face, and this is what y'all gonna get. You know what I mean? Like it really made me feel some type of way of,
Right.
when you see someone, when you see a woman in her bonnet, you see a woman in her all her imperfections and the rosacea in the morning or whatever it is, like it's a privilege that you see that. That means that she trusts you.
Come on.
She
Yes.
trusts you, and that and this is her, all of her, like
All
showing
of
up.
her.
So
Yeah.
it was a challenge, but I definitely had to dig deep. Because at the end of the day, I was doing this full time. And
Yeah.
I was like, girl, you need to tap back into who you were before. You already been doing this. You already been making money, right? It was nice. You had that person you could bounce ideas off of, whatever, but you need to get back to trusting yourself. And, got back on my feet. I decided to stay in Charlotte. That was a big decision. Everyone's like, oh, are you moving back home? I was like, no. I'm going to let some man run me out of a city. Absolutely not.
Right.
No. And so I got my 1 bedroom apartment and, moved in, and I was just like so proud of myself, got like a new bed. It was my thing. And then I said, all right, girl, you're going to work your butt off and you're going to like move on up, to the east side. And I did just that. And in 2020, March 2020, I moved into a luxury apartment that has elevator, and I have garage here. I worked my butt off for that,
Yes.
And that's what I did for myself. I applied for this in my name, and then even in 2020 December, that I gifted myself like my dream car.
Yes, I still remember when you got your dream car, because I remember you being like, Altimese. You're like, Altimese, girl, let me tell you, it's like a difference when you pull up. Yeah. And I was like, wait, what? And you were like, I'm telling you, it's a difference. Like, people treat you differently. And I was like, at that time, I was like on the, like, kind of thinking about it. Like, I was like, okay, I was like, maybe. And then I was like, I don't know. But I remember your conversation. And I remember you saying, listen, just do it. Just do it. She said, because the reality is every single day you're reminded, like, I worked my ass off to get this.
Yes.
And I'm going to work my ass off to keep it. I remember that. It
turns into like, it's a responsibility. It was a gift to myself, and it was a double, like super gift, because I purchased that vehicle in my name. And those of you who are tuning in that are full-time entrepreneurs, you already know. When you can get stuff in your name. Like,
Facts.
Serious. I remember.
Because they be disrespecting people who are business owners. Do you understand?
Let me tell you something.
Disrespectful.
The car that I had before that, my mom had to be a co-signer of it. And I'm like, yo, I can pay this note. Like, what is going on? You know what I mean?
What's wrong?
So the fact that I did that on that type of vehicle on my own, but again, that season of where you're having to heal as best as you can, however, you still have this business to run, it is a challenge. But I would say, looking back at it, I think I did pretty good at that balance. But definitely is kudos to my my support system as well. Like, they were there for me, like, whenever I needed them.
What kept you from isolation? Did they initiate, or did you reach out?
It might have been like both. I just knew I could not be alone, because I definitely would have gone down like this rabbit hole, and I didn't have the capacity, like, even because of what was going on with that person, I was like, I've got to get out of here. And that's the thing. And that's why they were like, so are you moving back? Like, I was like, I need to get out of here. He doesn't need to know where I am. Like, you can keep guessing, like, whatever the situation. I just needed to actually get out of Charlotte, like, at that time. So I was like, let me go back home. And then my girls, of course, like, oh, we're going out. We're going to dinner. We're whatever. Of course, my mom just reminded me that I'm amazing and that everything is going to be okay. Was that, just having people around you that will just listen to you, but also people who are going to hype you up too. Like, no, I need you to remember who you are.
Yes.
Like, you started this business. You're going to be good with this business. Like, you need that. You need that. So if anyone like...
And I heard you say that to yourself. Like, you had the conversation with yourself to be like, girl, that's not what we're doing. No. That's not what we're doing.
Because that's not me. And I always said that I would never let a man get in the way of making my money.
Can you just say that one more time?
I would never let a man get in the way of me making my money. As sad as I was, this is not going to crumble down because of some man. Candice, girl, what? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He was not there when this seed was planted in me to grow, to water, to nurture. He was just came along, the journey, and see you later. Exit, right? And I'm gonna keep going, and that's what I did. Yeah, I've always felt that way. I was like, no.
And see, like, in my situation, he helped plant it. He
Okay.
helped plant the seed. But I think that was the purpose,
Mhm.
right? That was the sole purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And when you identify that, like, there are times when you have relationships in your life that are for a season,
Yep.
for a specific purpose, or for a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be okay if you identify that the person's season is up
Mm-hmm.
or their purpose is fulfilled.
Yeah.
Like, and in my situation, after he planted the seed, it was as if the seed was competition because it was growing.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
instead of encouraging it, I literally I remember I would have to charge my phone downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
I would leave it downstairs at like 8. I remember I went on vacation one time and like he wanted me to completely unplug as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, completely unplug. I'm going to say this. Shit hit the fan with a client as we were leaving.
Mm.
And my operations director, like, I literally started to cry. And I was like, I promised I wouldn't be working. And my operations director said, you know what? Go. Leave it. Don't touch your laptop. Go. I got it. Don't worry about it. But like, it was in my head the entire time. And I knew that he was looking to be like, oh, you gonna work? So I was like, and I had to get to the place where I say, you know what? It's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay that you encouraged me to start it. And you're a part of that story.
Right.
Of saying, like, instead of, you know, asking for a seat at a table that wasn't created for you, why don't you just work on the one that you've already started building on your own? Mm-hmm. It's okay that you're a part of that. It's also okay to identify when the assignments no longer align. Mm-hmm. And I had to grieve the idea of what I thought it was supposed to be to accept what God said it really was. Mm-hmm. And in order for me to have the fulfillment of what he said it really is, I have to let go and I have to release because the purpose was fulfilled. Yep. It was fulfilled. Yep. And we have to get to a place where we're okay with that, right? And
absolutely.
Yeah. And just understanding like everybody's not going to be on the journey with you.
No.
Even the people who vow and say, I'm going to be there no matter what, forever and ever. Amen. They don't know that.
Yeah.
You can try, you can make the effort. Right. But yeah. So like for you, he came in, that seed was already planted. Mm-hmm. And for me, he helped plant it. Yeah. And once it was planted, in order for it to grow, I had to let go.
Yeah. And here's the thing, though. Even though it was already planted when he came in, because I'm just the type of person that I am, I would talk to him about everything. Like getting a consultation, like, oh my gosh, I think this is going to be a great client. I'm going to get the proposal together. Like, what do you think about like the retainer? I'm thinking about this. Thinking about certain stuff. He was really great with marketing. So, and that's the thing of where I had to get back to that point, remind myself who I was, right? Because even though it was already planted and already growing and stuff of that nature, he was bringing extra flowers to my garden.
He was bringing value.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, girl, you're going to be able to do this. Like, you know, used to having like a partner there, right? Low key.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you will be okay. And that's when what did I say during that time? I said I had to, it was something surrounding like unblocking my blessings. If I remember, I'll send it to you so you can like put it in the notes.
Okay.
Because I would remind myself of that's what this situation was, that I had to, be okay with, unblocking, blessings. Cause I think that's what I was doing, trying to like hold on to that. It's like, girl, you were blocking a whole bunch of blessings ready to like, shower you. And I know that to be true because it happened.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Sometimes we are not even operating at our best, at our top, because of our immediate surroundings.
Yes.
And I think that's what a lot of individuals need to really think about. Like, why am I stagnant right now? Like,
a lot of women.
I know there's so much more in me. Like, what is it? Like, what is it? And so that situation, like, just taught me a lot, because I was already good, but in a way I was still dimming my light because I knew that he very much wanted to shine himself. And I'm like, well, Candice, you're good. People know you up here. Like, you're fine. Like, you can assist him in watering, like, his garden and helping. And it's, yeah. So it was a lot that I learned from that. I mean, to this day, I definitely still like heat up my leftovers in the oven. Shout out to him for that. That the food tastes better that way. Don't put it in the microwave. Real talk.
Right.
I'm like, I'm gonna put it in the oven. It's gonna take a little extra, but it's gonna be that much more good.
Yes.
I wish him the best. Like, he's actually married now. And people are like, well, Candice, how do you feel? And I'm like, good luck to her.
Feel great. Yeah.
Like, it's not my person. I never said he was a person. He just was not mine. And a lot of stuff started to be unmasked as we were going through this breakup that I was like, whoa, Nelly. Who was this person that I was with all this time? And you're showing up like this, right? And maybe that woman will never see that, right? I don't know. Right. And also, it ain't my business. And I could care less. And so when people were contacting me about, oh, did you see about, like, y'all, what you can do? And if you still want to be my friend, is if you don't tell me, man, nothing that man is doing. You don't have to be like, girl, like, what is that doing for me? Like, my energy, like.
And I want to say too, like, in the process of letting go, you don't have to do it in a spiteful, vengeful kind of way. You can completely release in love, like completely. Like, I made it a priority to be very intentional in my process of making sure that it was a release in love, because we have a child together. I know you will always be a part of my life because of our child. So I don't want to hurt you. That's not my intent. It's never been my intent. I don't want to hurt you. I just want to release you. That's all. Because releasing me, because there's not alignment anymore, that means there's not alignment for you either. Yeah. So even though you may not see it, please understand there's going to be a better alignment for you, a better person for you later, even if you don't see it right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of times that's the case, but you can completely do that in love. Completely.
I tried.
Did you just say you tried?
Yeah, I tried. However, I was like, one thing for me. I will match that energy.
Listen. Look, I'm over here like, you can release in love. I tried.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. No, really. It's I just think on the latter, I did my best. But there was just some stuff where I was like, yeah, you got the right and the wrong one. I can check up. Like, honestly, like, really. And that's why I was like, girl, you just gotta let it go. You just have to let it go. But he just kept on with stuff. And it was just, and then it grew to that, oh, just get away. Like, just annoying. Like, what else? Like, man, you were just so irresponsible. Like, why are you still calling me about this? We're not together. Like, what do you mean you can't? It went into that of where it grew into just like a disgust of like, huh. And then also, so during that of where it grew into that disgust, I came across a podcast, and I think the young lady was actually going through a divorce, and she said in her episode she had to forgive herself.
Yes,
she had to forgive herself. Definitely, forgive herself for allowing herself to participate in that type of relationship. Yes. And so that never left me. So as you know, life and stuff will happen. And when stuff happens where I'm like, Candice, you're better than that. I'm like Candice, where were you when you made that decision? Even mentally, like, where were you? Why did you entertain this foolery? Well, this had just happened. No excuse. This had just happened. This happened. Right. And so like, forgive yourself and say, well, what do you want to pull? What do you want to pull from that? Because there've been several things like, after that where I'm just like, girl, now why did you, participate?
Your inside voice is hilarious. Girl.
That's with me of forgiving myself.
Yes.
Because I really feel like when certain things happen, we are definitely, we want to just, Debbie down ourselves on a lot of things. Excuse me. And it's like, one, there were two people in this relationship. So I'm not wearing everything. I'm not.
Yeah.
Take ownership of mine. I hope eventually you would take ownership in how you're going to heal. And it was just a very interesting place to be, but I'm grateful for it.
Because
and I did.
It's a process. It is a process. And the most important relationship you have is with yourself. Mm-hmm. So you have to show kindness to yourself in the process. Give yourself grace in the process. Mm-hmm. And like, know that you literally did the best you could. Like, you made the best decision in that moment at that time. You know what I'm saying? And that's all you got. That's all you have. Yeah. And that's okay. Right? Mm-hmm. You just have to be okay. So if there is someone listening and she knows that she has great potential and she's not feeling it. She knows she can do better. She knows it's in her. For whatever reason, it's the circle, it's the relationship, it's the situation, it's the job, it's whatever. What would you tell her?
I would tell her that more than likely you already know what it is, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to try your best to become one with that. I am a believer. Like 90% of the time, you know why you're feeling some type of way, right? Like, why is this going on? And I do believe a lot of the times you need to, if you're in that space and let's say you're like, well, no, I really don't know, like, what is causing this? You need to reassess yourself. You need to take a step back. You need like a day to yourself and think about, when was the last time I felt joy? When was the last time I was just smiling, just living my life? Take yourself back to that. Okay, so what was going on? Who were you surrounded with? Was this relationship just starting? If it's, a relationship there, or were you in the thick of it, but maybe some things have happened and now you're at another place within the relationship. You have to do some, resetting, I believe, sometimes, and just start writing some things down. I think it's very important. And I'll say this, look at your memories on like Facebook, even Instagram. It will really take you back. And you're like, wait a minute, I was living La Vida Loca over here. What is going on? And you're like, well, y'all do have more clients, which is a blessing, right?
Right.
So, right. There may be some things, but I think it's good to take a step back and say, when was the last time I really just had joy? And I believe I'm at that point right now. I'm like, Candice, live your life. There's joy of when I share my day on Instagram for me personally, because it also holds me accountable. So all of y'all going to see every morning when I'm drinking this 12 ounce of water in the morning, when I'm going for my walk, when I'm at Hot Works, when I'm at Row House or whatever, when I'm cooking and stuff of that nature, that brings me joy. It's fun. I can look back at it. So I think that's what it is. Like, for example, I had been feeling just a certain way. It's been a lot of movement, a lot of travel, onboarding clients. And I'm like, I'm going to like flip my wig if I don't like get on a vacation or just start, making plans to have like 48-hour like getaways, like honestly. And so I started to do that and I was like, all right. We're going to be like head down. We're going to grind it out because you're going on a vacation and you're not taking your laptop. What? Yeah. That's a lot. Has me like in a chokehold. I'm not taking my laptop on my vacation. I'm not. I'm taking like 2 books and that's it. I'm going to book some excursions that are like more educational because I love learning about history. And that's just what it is. I'm going to eat good. And I'm also going to work out. I'm going to be gone like an entire week, seeing what you need so you guys can be prepared, and I'm out. And then when I get back from there, I have like 2-day trip. It's client wise, but still I'm going to be in NOLA. Planning on maybe doing Detroit for Afro beats, hitting up Jacksonville, maybe Chicago in July. Like just planning that was bringing joy because those are things that I can look forward to. So I say all that to say is that to this individual is that a lot of times you need to talk to yourself. Talk to yourself and say, self, what is going on? Like, are you stressed? Or do you find yourself talking about the same thing with the same person? And here's the thing. Once you are starting to identify it, the real horse pill to swallow is how are you going to address it? If you are saying that, 6 months ago, this happened in this relationship, whether it's, an intimate relationship or like a friendship, well, you may need to like leave that alone. You may need to go the other way and be okay with that.
Facts.
You have to take care of yourself. Like, do you like yourself? Do you like
And you know what? I'm laughing, but it's such a simple question that has such deep meaning. Such deep meaning. So like, Candice, girl, where can people find you? What's like coming up for you? Let us know how we can connect with you.
Definitely at Candice Nicole PR, CANDICE, Nicole PR. You can, if you want to follow me like on my personal page, that's fine. It's the Candice Nicole, THEE, Candice Nicole with an I. Of course, over there you'll see my cooking. You'll see like, the workouts and when I'm in the streets, just being a human, right?
A whole human.
and enjoying myself, right? Self-care, my massages and everything of the sort, like, you'll see that. I love to light candles. But if you want business, of course, definitely follow us, Candice Nicole PR. I sometimes will pop certain things up in the stories over there that are like more personal. But yeah, ask yourself again, like, do you like yourself? And I'll say this, I'm probably like 80%, like 85% there. And I say that because I know there is certain things and it's really surrounding just like weight loss that I want to work on. And I feel like once I get back in rhythm with that, it's going to go up to 100%. Why? Because I know that I'm being intentional about changing that about myself. Right. But for the most part, I'm good. I spray my room spray at night, my eucalyptus spearmint on my bedding. And I'll be laid up there watching Netflix like, you know what? This is not too bad.
This is good. Yeah. Yes. I love it. Well, thank you, Candice, for joining me today. This was absolutely amazing. I think we're probably going to have part 2 when time permits after all of your vacation and just resetting and everything. And again, we appreciate you, girl. You know I love you. I love you so much. And I'm so very proud of you.
I love conversations like this, though. It's so important to like hear, I don't say behind the scenes, but just hearing about, say, the people that you follow or you hold in high regard, like, you know, just how they move with business, of learning about their personal side, because everyone has a story.
Yes. And oftentimes I have identified that your personal life mirrors your professional life. So when you do not address the things that are in the personal life, it just bleeds in, especially for entrepreneurs. It's like the place where God, entrepreneurship is the place where God be like, oh, I can get you by myself. Like you're there and you just got to work on it. You don't have no other choice. You just got to work on it. Yep. So like, I agree with you, and I'm grateful for you and our friendship. Yes. And I'm so proud of you and all of your growth. And to everyone who is listening, please do go follow Candice Nicole everywhere. Like, her knowledge is truly, truly amazing. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Ezer Mindset podcast. And remember that whatever you are going through, it does have a purpose, right? Even the hard, icky stuff. So it's all okay. It's all okay. Go through your process, because the only way through it is through it. And as you go through it, you'll heal through it. And then you thrive through it. Okay? And we will see you in the next episode. All right. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast episode of the Ezer Mindset Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to stay connected and in the know of all upcoming inspiring conversations with Altimese Nichole and inspiring women from all around the world. Until next time, stay soft and fearless, Queen.